Hello, everybody. It's Jacob from WagerMeThis here. Today we're going to be doing episode 8 of the live series that I've been doing. Uh, Basically, what we're doing in this series is we're assuming we have $1,000 bankroll. We're playing a $90 6 and 8, and the idea behind it is we're doing 5 shooters, and every 5 shooters we should be able to hit 2 6s and 8s before, sorry, 2 6s and 8s before the 7. That would be the idea behind the dice control if we were able to accomplish that. Again, the situation is simple. If you're able to accomplish this, that would indicate you are manipulating the dice in some way because, hey, Fuzzy, because then at that point you would be beating the natural average because the 7 comes 1 out of every 6 times. And that's pretty often, way more often than you think. So if you're able to hit any combination of 2 6s or 8s before a 7, that would indicate that you were manipulating the outcome. All right, so let's put some obstacles up. We've been doing that as well. I do think it's actually caused me some issues. Again, it's not necessarily an excuse or whatever, but the first 2 runs, I definitely won. For the last 2 runs, or the last 5 runs, I have not. In fact, I really haven't done that well at all. The first 2 were very good, then these 5 were pretty bad. So, again, with that being said, I'm not for a second saying that that this is some kind of a definitive answer to can someone control the dice. This is an answer to can I control the dice, which is far different. All right, so here we go. I've been shooting the 5 4 3 deuce because that puts 6s and 8s on everything. We've been off on the come out. We're going to do all that the same. Here we go. Roll number 1. And we got a 7 on the come out. Remember, we've been off, so it's not a huge deal. 5 deuce 7. Do want to see. If you guys see these boxes all over there, that has to do with me practicing landing zones. That's nothing to do with the video. That's my own personal practice. 5 deuce 7. My first shot hit chips. Obviously, guys, if you hit the chips, there's no semblance of any kind of control, no matter what you want, whatever you want to say. There's a 5 4 9. If you're hitting those chips, you don't have any. If it is possible to manipulate the dice, if you hit the chips, you lost that. Oh, hello. I don't play with the stop loss, KG. Whatever I put on the table is my stop loss. I feel like that if you're playing with the stop loss, whatever you think your stop loss is, you should only put that much on the table then. Because why are you putting so much more on the table if you're not ever going to use it? It doesn't make any sense to me. So I've never liked the idea of a stop loss. That is a PSO. So that is a white chip loser. A PSO. But guys, so we missed on the first shooter. Again, it was a good shot as far as on axis goes. I don't play with stop loss. I think that doesn't make any sense. I know I hear this stop loss term a lot and stuff. But why, if you're buying in for 1,000, but you're only willing to lose 200, then why aren't you just buying in for 200? I don't really understand that idea behind a stop loss. as for the on-axis comment, well, I feel like if you're throwing a par shot and you're intending to stay on axis, then being on axis matters. If you're throwing a hard way set and going off axis is what matters, then you should be wondering how many times you're off axis. I mean, I think it all depends on what you're trying to accomplish. If all you're trying to accomplish is rolling 12s, then that should be what you're trying to look for. But as far as par shots, I do think on axis means. I do think on axis matters if you're trying to create the numbers that you're putting on axis, right? In this case, I'm trying to create 6s and 8s, and I'm putting them on the axis of the dice. So it would be a good thing if I rolled a 6 or an 8. All right, that first shot was a 4. This shot is a 10. So again, yes, I do think that matters in the sense of this dice control stuff. Yep, that's right. That's the other. Yeah, 100% right. It's not 4 out of 6, but it is. It's you're getting an extra 7. You can actually set the dice a different way where on axis gets you 1 less 7. 100% correct. Again, guys, I'm not saying that I'm going to miss the 7s. I've never said that. Not even really what I'm attempting to do. I'm just trying to use the 6 and 8 to beat the 7. I think people, that was an 11, not a 12. I think some people have got the wrong idea. Yeah, but there's more than 6 combinations. On 4 sides of the dice, there's 16 combinations, and there's a 5 deuce 7. So that's 2 losses without a winner. There's 16 combinations on 4 sides of the dice. Yes, you're right there. Exactly right. Exactly right. It's 25%. If you're using any hardway set, any type of a hardway set, guys, make no mistake, this is a type of a hardway set. It's just turned a little bit, right? It's just turned. It's still a hardway set. Just because it's turned a little bit. But any type of hardway set, you actually have more 7s on axis than other sets. That's very true. 100% true. It's one of the reasons why I don't fully like dice control. It's one of the reasons why I don't fully like the idea of trying to beat the 7. It doesn't make a lot of sense to try to beat the 7, actually. Believe it or not. It's just what we're doing here. It's what I'm showing. And again, guys, I think it got... So somehow what I'm doing here for some people got messed up and taken a different way. What I'm showing is that if you think you're... What I started as is if you think you're a dice controller and you think you can actually do it, then do this, try this challenge that I'm doing, try this. If you can beat it twice every time you're shooting, that would indicate that you're manipulating the dice. And 5 deuce 7, there's another PSO. So that's 2 PSOs and a 3 shooter, I believe. So I have literally not rolled I've only rolled about 8 shots, but None of them. I had 1.6. That was it. Other than that, 3 straight losses. And again, these 7s are coming on axis. They're not off axis. And I'm also not saying that if I fail here, that this is definitive proof it doesn't exist. It just means that I can't do it. And that's another thing that I think people are missing, is that I'm saying that I can't do it if I lose here, not anyone else. That's what I'm saying. But I'm putting this out there for all these guys that make dice control videos. I want to know why none of them have tried it. That's something that bothers me a little bit. Haven't had any of them try it that I can tell. There's a 3, 2, 5. So we've had a 6 and a 5 on this shot. Again, both on axis. So that's the other thing. The next set of 10 videos, guys, I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm just going to do it with just completely random throws. I'm just going to grab them and throw them. And I want to prove something when I do that. And I do think I'll prove something then. I'll prove that for the 99% of people out there, dice control doesn't matter. It's not that it's not true. It just doesn't matter. There's a 5, 4, 9. It just doesn't matter for the huge, huge, vast majority. Dice control in the sense that you're trying to beat the 7. Because I do think there's other types of dice control that are more effective. There's a 6, 5 yo. I do think there's other types of dice control that actually make a lot more sense than trying to beat the 7. Here we go. There's a 6. Hey, we got a winner finally. Very nice. It's a point winner. Oh, we're doing green chips. Green chips. Or no, we were doing black, right? And then I switched them to green. I don't know why. I don't know why that is. 5-1-6. That was not aces. It was a 5-1. But again, guys, all I'm showing here is a way for you to test how good you are at this, or if you're even doing it, if you're even doing anything. And if you're going to claim that you are doing something when you shoot, then this would be a test to prove it to yourself. Because I'm going to say this. Most people that claim they're doing something with the dice are not. This is me saying this. Most people that claim they have some manipulation on the dice, they don't. Oops. Hard 10. That doesn't mean they don't make good shots every now and then. But what I mean by manipulation on the dice is, can you consistently repeat it? Sorry, guys. Can you guys hear me now? My internet went out for a minute. This is one of the things I was talking about previously about my internet, is it's just not very good. So I'm usually surprised that it works as well as it does. Jalen Pond, it's simple. The experiment is simple. It's a $90 6 and 8. $90 6 and 8, and can you hit 2 6 and 8s, any combination of the two, before a 7 on 5 shooters? Or even if you don't do it on all 5, can you average 2 before a 7. You would think this would be easy, right? Or would be consistently able to do it. So far, I haven't been able to. At least not in this run at it, with this set. And do I think the dice set could have something to do with it? Yes and no. I think I get a lot of 7s because of the set I'm using. Because I am putting an extra group on there. But do I think I would be getting any more 6s and 8s with something else? I don't know about that. And there's a 3. And again, guys, in this run right here, I've barely thrown any throws, and I'm already through 4 shooters. I have 1 hit. I don't even know that I've thrown 15 throws. And that's how many PSO. I had a couple PSOs. But again, they were all on-axis throws. And there's, that's not a PSO, but it's like a 3-roller. 5-7. Again, on-axis. So I had 1 win out of the 10 that I was looking for. Yeah, whatever you think you can do to do it is anything you think you can do. It's whatever. Dice control is all personalized, right? So if you think you can accomplish it, then show us. Because I personally don't think very many people can do it. And I used this all 6s and 8 set based on that it's 6s and 8s. So we had 9 losers today. We would have lost 900. There's 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 runs in. I'm getting absolutely destroyed. I would be down thousands of dollars. This was a very short run here. Let's shoot the blue dice. Let's run it again. We'll make this one session 8 and 9. All right. So I know I did that with 6 and 7, but it was so short. Let's go on and go again. I'll use the blue this time. All right. So session 1 or session 7 or 8, I guess. Session 8 down. We're going to go into session 9. Same thing. 5 shooters. We're looking to hit twice. I changed the dice to the blue dice. These are the smaller dice. All right. So let's see if shooting more here helps, maybe. Oh, absolutely. I think I hit 1 point for sure. It was the 6. Yep. The 1 point I hit for sure. That was it. All right, so let's start this section. We got a hard 8, okay. Maybe we'll get a few winners this time. Hard 8, 2 4s. Here we go. Shooting the exact same stuff. And guys, if you're going to try this, I don't care how you shoot it. There's a 6, that's good. I don't care how you shoot it. I don't care about any of that. The only thing I care about in the whole thing is that you mimic the trying to beat the 6, use the 6 and 8 to beat the 7. So it takes 2 hits per 7. That's, in my opinion, if you can do that consistently and average that, then you are probably manipulating the dice. Oh, there's another 6. That was a good 6 too, the 4 deuce. That's a good one. So right here, you could easily chalk this up to variance, right? Because I am the same shooter shooting over and over. That's why I changed the dice partly as well, was trying to change some of the factors. And a 5-3, that's the point. So in this case already, I've already accomplished the goal on shooter 1. But again, on my last shooter, so if we would have came back another day, you know, we're down all this extra money. But I don't know. Let's see. Let's see how far we go on this one. Maybe we'll have some miraculous thing happen where we get 40 of them or something. And there's a 5, 4, 1. Still the same shooter. Aces. I will say this. I don't normally practice with obstacles up there, but practicing with these in this sense has helped me a lot, like as far as throwing the dice exactly where I want them to be. So it's been beneficial to me in that way. And there's a 9, 5, 4, 5, 4, 9. Here we go. It's just such an interesting challenge that if anyone can show me that they can do it, there's a hard 8. That's a good one. If anyone can show me that they can do this, I would obviously prefer them to be live, but, you know, honestly, recorded is fine too. And I'll explain why recorded is fine. I'll explain why recorded is fine. Because if you record it, you still had to accomplish it, right? I don't care if it took you 800 tries. If you still had to accomplish it. And there's a 6, hard 6. If you think you can beat the 5 and use the 5 and 9 to beat the 7, that's even more difficult than the 6 and 8. You have 2 less combinations, and it would be even more difficult. And there's a 5, that's the point, 3 deuce. So again, it's actually, so you would have 4. So if you had 4, 8, so it would be 8 to 12. The math is somewhat different because you don't actually need 2 to 1. It's more like 1.5 to 1 to show that you're actually manipulating something. And there's a come out 7. Hit the chips. But so on the 5 and 9, it's actually somewhat different. So you would actually only need like 3 for every 2 instead of 4 for every 2. If you understand what I mean by that, would show that you're actually doing something. Still coming out on the same first shooter. We got a 9. Five and a 4. Here we go. Oh, that's a terrible shot. Go over, they got a 10, 6-4. Then got out of my hand a little funny. Got way over there. Oh, here. Here we go. That's much better. And we got aces. Got a long rollout, but the roll is better than the previous one. Got aces. and an 11. 6, 5, 11. We're down to just the 12 for the tall on this guy, on the shooter. Yeah, if you could hit 2, 5, and 9s for every 7, that's pretty good effective. And there's an 8, 5, 3. That's a good 8. Very good 8 for us. 5, 3, 8. Still the same shooter. This is a good one. One of the good ones. Let's see. 6, 3, 9. That's the point. 6, 3, 9. Here we go. 5, deuce, 7. That is a come out 7, guys. Come out 7. So I think I was supposed to reset earlier. We needed not just the 12, huh? I forgot to reset. So my bad. I think I did that earlier too. Either way, it didn't do it anyway. So here we go. Reset. Still on the same first shooter. 5, deuce would be also be on axis 7. And a 6, deuce this time. I'll refer to it as an off axis 8. All right, so we're on the 8 now. Here we go. 5, deuce. Okay, so that's our first shooter down. Shooter number 1 is down. 5, deuce. Also on axis 7. We had a pretty good run there. We got 6 in. 6 out of the 10 we're looking for. That's a pretty good run for us, especially compared to the last bazillion runs. Coming out. Oh, coming all the way out, I guess. That one out of the table. That one jumped out of the table on me. Jumped on out of the table. Let's try this again. Here we go. There we are. What do we got? 5, 2 on the come out. Come out 7. Again, can't do nothing about that. It's a good shot. If we're trying to roll on axis, which is what we're doing, and we roll a 5, 2, can't be mad about that. 6, 3, 9. 6, tray 9. Here we go. Point is 9. All right. 5, 1, 6 on a weird roll to the side. That was very odd, very weird one. It rolled all the way, hit the wall, and bounced all the way back. But we'll take it. We take it. At this point, we need all we can get. Hard 8. Got a chip knocker there. Got the hard 8 out of it. Again, it hit a chip, so I'm not going to say anything about it because it is what it is. You just got lucky. I mean, the thing about dice control against the 7, specifically against the 7, is that you already have an 84% chance that you're going to be successful before you even ever start trying to manipulate anything. You already have an 84% chance. So, can dice control actually hurt you? I think it can. I think what we're showing here is a way it can hurt you. By using a type of throw that's going to get, that was a 3-2-5, guys. By using a type of throw that's actually going to put more 7s in our way. 549, that's the point. It was a really good looking roll. That might be the roll that John from ProCraps is looking for right there. He said he's never seen one that the dice don't just tumble all over in slow motion. That one right there looks like it hit and rolled straight back on axis. So that one might show him. That was a cutout 7, 6-1. So that's a weird 7 for us. Anytime we get a 1 or a 6 here, that was a come out roll. Anytime we get a 1 or a 6, that means they went sideways. They didn't go forward and then backwards. Still a come out. Still on shooter 2. Hard 4. Now here's a question I got for the audience today is, are the dice controlled based on the result or based on the action? Because if we're just going to base it on the result, I think a lot of people can claim that they're manipulating something. But if you have to base it on the actual action of the dice, where they are showing no movement or only very specific to what you're doing movement, there's a hard 10. That's a whole different thing, right? So if it's only the action, on the dice, then even the best guys that throw the best, they probably only accomplish any level of control 1 out of 10 throws. At least what I've seen. And I've seen lots of really good guys. Now, if you look at it at just the result, how often there's a hard 8? How often do you see guys that can average 10 rolls? I know some guys that average 10 rolls. 10 rolls per shot. 10 rolls per shot on average. And I mean, if they shoot 5 times, they're going to average, if you gave them 5 shooters in a row, they're going to average 10 in a row. They're 10 shots. And I don't mean every shooter. What I mean is that when you calculate the total up, it's going to be over 50 rolls in 5 shooters. That is way harder than people think. It's way harder to do than people think. And there's a 7 out, but it's a good 7. 4-3-7. We did get 2 winners in on that shooter, which is a good shooter. So here's my other question is, do the dice have to, if on a par shot, we use a par shot for example, do the dice have to hit the wall and tumble straight back on axis to be considered a good shot? Or can the tumble be consistent if when it hits it spins out and goes sideways? Is that also consistency? See, what I think it's like this. This is what I think it is. And this is in my years now of doing this and doing this on video and doing this for everybody to see different things. This is what I think it is. I think that the reason guys that shoot dice consistently tend to shoot better than others is because they've figured out how to get a certain group of numbers to reappear more often. It doesn't necessarily meet the requirements of beating the 7, but it does meet the requirements of they get more 5s and 6s than average, right? So over time, when you see that and you're able to repeat that you get more than 5s or 6s, more 5s or 6s than you're supposed to, well, then over time, it's going to have the appearance that, wow, you're going to have those runs where you get 5-6, 5-6, 5-6, and just hammering that home before a 7. So it ends up being more profitable because it's numbers you're actually betting, as opposed to guys, random rollers, let's say, are random roll that just is all over the place but isn't rolling 7s, right? They're just living off the 84% probability that they don't roll a 7. But their numbers are all over. They got 15 horn numbers in a 20 roll shot. I mean, there's things like that. So this is what I'm saying is that I think there's more elements to the control part of dice control than just the manipulation of the dice itself. Are you controlling to a certain group of numbers, which is, in my opinion, what dice controllers should be trying to do, as opposed to trying to beat the 7. They should be trying to control to a certain group of numbers and trying to figure out if they can avoid a different group. And there's a 12. And I've asked my buddy George from CY this a whole bunch of times. I've asked him, I said, George, can you throw and either make it to where you only throw 4s, 5s, and 6s on the dice, or 1s, 2s, and 3s? If you can do either thing, if you can make sure every time you throw, there's at least 1 4 on the 2 dice, 4 or higher, then you could lay the 4 all day long and play as much as you want and flip-flop with the 10. So if you can control the dice to the point where you can either eliminate, and it only has to be on 1 dice. It only has to be on a single dice out of the 2, where you can eliminate either the low numbers or the high numbers off the dice. At that point, you can lay the 4 or the 10, and you can play all day long with no risk. So if you're able to do that, that, in my opinion, would be the best version of dice control I had ever seen. 4 to 6. So it would only take 1. So if, let's say right here, if we lay the 4, as long as we have a 4 on 1 dice or higher, we can never roll a 4. So the first person that's able to accomplish that will be able to make as much money as they want playing craps. They can unlimited amount. 415. And that seems easier than beating the 7. Because you only have to accomplish it on 1 dice out of 2 every roll of the dice. And it wouldn't even have to be every roll necessarily. You would have some times where you could miss and still win, right? But if you could do it, let's say on 80% of your rolls, where you only roll 4s and higher, you would literally be unstoppable. 5 to 7. No winners on that one. You would literally be unstoppable. And I've asked George, I really haven't brought this up to any of the other guys, but George from CY, I've asked him about this. Could he do it? And he doesn't seem to think he can. At least that's what he told me. It's been a year or 2 ago now. Now, if you can, then you could just lay the opposite number and accomplish whatever you want to accomplish. And there's a 9, 6, 3. So that's some food for thought for you guys. Very simple. Can you either roll low numbers or high numbers? Consistent. Over and over and over. And we got a 1 something. A 1, 3, 4. 1, 3, 4. Five to 7. So we got our good run, which, guys, I'll tell you this. The way this shot is playing out is a direct indication of random. Because we've had 2 good shots and 2 terrible shots, If we average them out, I bet they come out to exactly random or really close to it. And so that's another thing, is that if you're going to go down this path, down this dice control world path, be prepared to be proven that your shot is random. Be prepared for that. Be prepared for the proof you get is that you have a random shot. There's a 4-3 on the come out. Be prepared to find out that you are as random gets. Here we go. And a 9, 6 tray. So I'm going to dive into this 4 or 10 thing a little bit more. There's an 11. All right. So, for example, the 4 and the 10, they have the lowest percentage of the box numbers of probability, right? So they're sitting down there around 4%. Or not 4, sorry, not 4%, my bad. It's 4% per combination, right? So can you, there's a hard 4. Can you manipulate that out? That's literally how easy it would be. You already have this huge advantage just by the natural. Now, can you affect that just a little bit? And a 3, 1, 2, 3. And we got a 7 out, so I don't think I made my goal, guys. I think we started out so good, and I still missed my goal. I think I missed by 1. Oh, that was not an 8, guys. That was a 4, 3, 7. All right, so we got 7 or 6, 7, 8. No, I missed by 2. So it's still 2 red chips. Again, we had pretty much all on axis 7s again, which, again, you know, if you're shooting to roll on axis, then congratulations, you're killing it. I keep forgetting to call the 6s and 8s. Yeah, that's the case. But again, guys, I'm not trying to sell something one way or the other here. I'm not. That's not what I'm doing at all. All I'm saying is that if you think you are manipulating the dice, this is a way you can try. This is a way you can show, hey, look what I can do. Because personally, at least in this instance, with these table conditions, with this set, with all the stuff I'm doing here, I'm not doing it. I'm not accomplishing that goal. In fact, not only am I not accomplishing that goal, I should probably be laying the 6 and 8, right? I should probably be doing all I can to play against them the way it looks, right? All these times that I got far less than I was supposed to, especially this one where I got 9. That means the 7 beat me so bad in that instance that it was almost like I was controlling to the 7 at that point. And again, that's another way to play. There's actually a pretty famous craps guy, I guess, as far as craps people go, that's written a book and stuff, that controls to the 7. Or at least he says he does. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Between the 5 deuce and the 4-3, in this video series, I've rolled so many of those two. I don't know how. It almost proves what I'm doing is working in a way, because they're on axis. So that means that if you're looking at par on the on axis thought process for par, then I'm staying on axis so often that the 7s are coming up probably more than they should, obviously, right? And those 2 7s specifically, I've almost nearly eliminated it. Yay, we had a profitable session, huh? Woohoo! But again, I can take the barriers down, sure. And guys, obviously you can play without other players at the table. I do it all the time. You just have to go at certain times. So these aren't necessarily necessary. You can definitely have someone move them. There's all kinds of things you could do. But I put them up there just because this happens, right? And someone asked me to actually in a video as well. So I like to, make it as realistic as possible. It is different, obviously, shooting in your own living room. It's far more comfortable than the casino generally. Plus, I shoot thousands of shots a month on this table. I know this table, obviously better than any other table I've been on. But again, it's still the same process no matter where you go. Still shooting the dice. One of the things that I always think is funny is people don't like the longer tables. In my opinion, I'll get to that. So in my opinion, the longer table is actually better. Because you actually have more room to throw the dice where you want. You want that, dog? You actually have more room. I know a lot of people like the shorter table, but I actually think that shorter table, it's actually harder to put the dice where you want them because there's more stuff in the way. There's going to be chips in the way. So I'm going to show you something. So right here, you see how far this is apart? This is a 12-foot table. All right. This is a legitimate, from a casino, 12-foot table. And I have every bit of, 18 inches there. Right? Where if you get on a 10-foot table, it's going to be like this. Right, 100%. So you get that shorter table, and then there's some tables that you're right on the pass line. I've seen some tables where there's literally barely any room, and even in some of these videos, these live videos at these casinos, some of these tables are so small. And when you go to the Horseshoe here in Tunica, where I live, their tables are small. They're super small. So what ends up happening is it's a new shot when you go to it, right? There's a whole new shot when you get to it. It's all the way different. And so keep that in mind too. Where the long table, the shot never changes, right? Because the back wall gets further away, you can still throw it where you need to throw it. It'll roll in. So again, I just think that some of the concepts around dice control that are kind of universal, hard table, short table, those kind of things, I don't necessarily believe them. I do think the hard table is better than the bouncy table, but I don't think that it means the bouncy table is necessarily that much worse. I think you just have to throw the dice differently. The tall walls and the short walls, right? Some tables have a much taller thing, or they call them deep, right? They're deeper tables. Some of them are taller than others on the wall. But does that really matter? Like, I've heard people say it really matters. Now, it may matter on your stance where you're throwing. It may be too up into you or too low, maybe. You got to bend over too far. How to use the math of the game to create a formula for profit. I've had a bunch of people give me stuff like that. I've had a bunch of people give me different formulas. And look, man, what it boils down to, in my opinion, is if you leave with the casino's money every time you play, then you're obviously great. If you leave with the casino's money 80% of the time you play, you're pretty damn good. If you leave with the casino's money half the time, then you're doing just fine. If you're under half the time you play, then you're probably not very good. So I don't know that there's some kind of magical math that, and I know you can apply whatever you want. It's all going to be hypothetical anyway. So I don't, like, everyone plays different. If you have a $200 bankroll versus a $20,000 bankroll, a $25 table is going to look like a monster to you. The $20,000 guy, he can play $25 bets until he dies. I mean, so I don't really know what you're asking, I guess. I don't know that there's some magic formula. I've had some people present stuff to me saying, oh, you got to stay at this percentage and you up and down and different things. And I'm sure all that stuff works. It's just not what I do. I think everyone's different. Like, for example, one of the guys that I know has been pretty successful at craps in his life, I know this guy has for 100% sure. All he does is play light side. He never plays dark side. And he presses and presses, but he has this massive bankroll to where he can wait out a good shot. He can wait out a monster roll, and then he makes all of his money back plus profit. And then I know other guys that use the don't. There's a guy that's in town here, and he paid off his house playing craps, all on the don't. He never did anything but the don't. So I don't know. There's not some like magic way to do it. It's just, what do you do? What do you do? And do you do it well? I don't think that there's some specific special play or special math. Yeah, Dafford, I love any kind of strategy like that as well. One hitting down to the iron cross. If you have the bankroll to support any one hitting down strategy, it's what you should be doing. And this is one thing I will say. If you're a light side player and you have the bankroll to support a one hitting down, which means, what I mean by that is one hitting down to a some kind of craps play. So if you can go one hitting down, if you can go one hitting down to 96 across, so that would mean you would have to win $100 in that one hit down to 96 across. And you can do that every play, every shooter. You're probably going to win, because you're going to get one hit enough of the times where that 96 across then turns into a long roll when it happens, right? So if you have the bankroll to support one hitting down, it's the way you should play. But you should go one hitting down to a strategy. That's really interesting, Papa Chops, because so many people are proponents of working on the come out. I was for a long time saying that it doesn't matter. And one of the things is, it does matter. I actually got shown that working on the come out actually works against you, because of the idea of winning on the 7 and things like that. And I actually, because for a long time there, I was like, it doesn't really matter. You're going to roll the 7s when you're going to roll them, but you don't lose on all the 7s then. It actually, and that's another proof of it right here. And we've done plenty of rolls here and plenty of sessions here to, yeah. And I there's definitely going to be instances where working on the come out's fantastic. If you go 10 shooters in a row and no one rolled a come out 7, the working on the come out was great. But the first time one shooter goes 3 7s in a row on the come out and then hits a point and then goes 2 7s on the next come out, you wipe them out. And that was pointed out to me and actually opened my eyes to that. That's why I've got more along the lines of not working on the come out. It actually makes a lot more sense. Now, the one difference with that is if you're playing with profit and you're playing the iron cross, I think you should work on the come out, because you've already accepted that your bad roll is the 7 and your bad roll is the 7 every roll at that point. You're not playing the 7. So if you have already got the profit and you have an iron cross, there's not a lot of reason to have it off. But other than that, I actually think you should be off on the come out. It's my philosophy in craps. My thought process for craps has changed many times. Many times it's changed over the years. There for a long time, I was a big proponent of lay bets. I really thought lay bets were the way to go. I still don't think they're bad by any means. I just don't necessarily think they're the way to go anymore. I personally, if you're going to play the 7, I think you should play the don't. And it doesn't matter DC or DP. I still haven't figured out a difference there outside of a philosophical difference of playing against the point that the table is using. So other than that difference, I don't know that there's any other difference. Unless you're saying the dice controllers are throwing 7s on the come out on purpose. At that point, that would make sense then to wait. But them are all like situational stuff and more philosophy of the game stuff. So as opposed to the actual outcomes and math of the game. But I personally, yeah, I use the both dark and the light. Absolutely. That's how I play. I start with the don't pass, and then from there I have a variety of plays I used based on what point I get. I also start with like a horn parlay where on the come out I'm trying to hit horn numbers. Yeah, the 6, 7, 8 is somewhat attributed to me for some reason. I think because I was such a proponent of it, but that style of play's been out forever. But for whatever reason in the craps community, it gets labeled as me, which is fine. I accept that because I think it's overall the most consistent way to play craps, but that's just my opinion. I just think it's a logical way to play, right? %80 of the time, but 80% may not be enough. Thank you. Let me ask you a question. So right here, I can present you a strategy that wins 84% of the time. Right now, see you, Papa. Right now, I can present you a strategy that wins 84% of the time just by the percentage of the way the dice come up. If you play an iron cross for one hit and take your money down, 84% of the time you will win. Right now, I can give you an 84% strategy. I don't got to guess. I don't got to do anything. No, for iron cross for one hit, it's 84%. Guaranteed, because that's the math. Guaranteed. It does if you stop after one win. Now, if you roll a second time, it doesn't. But if you stop after one win, it 100% does. If I did 100 shooters where I was looking for one hit on it, one roll, single roll, that's what it's going to come out to be. If I did 10,000 shooters, because that's the math of the dice. One win, one hit, that's it. 84% strategy, right there. Why doesn't that work for craps players? Because no one's going to stay for one hit. I mean, unless you're playing to where the hit is $1,000 on your win. But 84% of the time, that would win. Guaranteed. Now, you may have to roll 10,000 times to get to 84% because it might roll 7 sevens to start. And then it might go 30 or 40 rolls before I come out 7. But I'm not saying that the profit, but talking about profit, we're just talking about a strategy that wins 84% of the time. That's what you said, right? Maybe I read that wrong. A winning formula that wins 80% of the time, yeah. Well, I have a formula that wins 84% of the time. Now, that you're right. There is other factors in there with the money, right? The money is different, but we're just talking about wins and losses. 84% of the time, it would win. Does that mean that it would profit? No, I don't know what percentage of the time. Well, it would profit 84% of the time if you counted each shooter individual. See, I think what you're trying to say is that if I follow a system that you're trying to present me, that 80% of the time that system is profitable. But profitable to what percentage of your bankroll? Is it 10% profit, 20% profit, 30% profit? What? There's so much more to what you're trying to say that you need more context. See, that's the thing with the Iron Cross is there's more to the context, right? You have an 84% chance to win, but when you dig deep into further into the actual context of it, you lose the $100. Let's say it's $100 versus winning a minimum of 15. So if you did it 100 times at $100 each, you would, what is 15? So you'd have 1,500 and you'd have 1,600 in loss, right? You'd have a minimum of $1,500 in wins and $1,600 in loss, something like that. Something in that realm. But again, that's what I'm saying is I've had a lot of people present this kind of stuff to me, and you can send it to me at my WagerMeThis at gmail.com. But there's so much more context to win. The everything bet. The closest I've ever seen someone do that is where the only loser roll. Yep, it's the same exact play as a guy showed me one time, I bet. The only loser roll is either the hard 4 or the hard 10, in the way this guy was showing it. And I can't remember who that was. That was so long ago. I can't remember who was showing me that. And it was like a $200 and something per roll. And he had hot bets involved. There was a lot of stuff involved in it. And the only loser, and that was the thing. That was the complexity. Was the thing I thought would be a problem when this guy was showing me. This guy, someone showed me. I think exactly what you're talking about. Like I said, a couple years ago. I can't remember who that was, but it ended up being only the hard 4 or the hard 10 was the only problem number, and he did profit like $5 or $10 per roll. It's kind of similar to that roulette strategy where you play all but one number, right? You play all but one number in that one roulette strategy, and as long as that one number don't spin, you make $5 or something like that, right? Maybe it's two numbers. If two numbers don't spin, where I think if two numbers or something don't spin. But anyways, I was watching. I don't know if you guys remember Let It Roll. Rick, I don't know if he even puts out videos still. But Rick from Let It Roll, he would play this roulette strategy, and I actually watched him get whacked on it. Yeah, and maybe I'm off a little bit, but he was doing that strategy where as long as it doesn't spin one or two numbers or three numbers or whatever, it comes out to that number. And I watched him get whacked on this. I was so surprised, and it rolled a 35, if I remember right. 34 out of 38 is a pretty high percentage. But it's just to win $5, and what is that in a loss? That's like 150. That's a $170 loss to win $5 or whatever it is. That doesn't seem very, very good. But anyways, guys, thank you for your time. We're gonna do. Obviously, I got to rename this one to 7 and 8. We'll do 9 and 10 tomorrow. At least that's the plan. And you guys have a great day. This is Jacob from WagerMeThis.